The Sensible SENCO, dragging dragons out of the Dark Ages. Welcome to my series on the Sensible SENCO. If you haven't done so already and have stumbled upon this video by accident, you might want to check out the first video in the series. This is video 2 version 5 for those of you who've had the SENCO role for a while and would like to drag the dragons out of the Dark Ages. Or just freshen things up, which doesn't sound half as exciting when you're trying to write YouTube titles. If you're new to the school or to the role, then one of my other videos might be more suitable. I make no secret of the fact that these 5 videos are quite similar, but they do have some differences. I think this video is actually relevant every year for every SENCO who isn't new to the role or to their school. It's the one that reminds us that whatever we've achieved this year, we still need to review and refresh things for next year. Okay, if you've had a particularly tough year and made lots of changes, we'll let you have a year off, but don't leave it too long or you'll be fighting fires in the disaster zone. That's video 2. Whilst it might not feel like it at times, most of the adults we work with actually want the best for the students we have under our care. The pressures of the education system on the teaching profession can make some staff a little abrasive, reticent, and difficult to work with. But on the whole, our dragons are mostly friendly. As you have settled into your role, you become aware of things that are not quite right. Maybe the attendance of SEN pupils is below national expectations and there's a large gap between them and your non-SEN pupils. Maybe their attainment and progress data is not great or your exclusions are high. On the other hand, maybe you don't have enough staff to cover all the needs that are being presented. A staff team within the SEN department who are inexperienced or experienced and retiring, or a teaching team who just don't see SEN students as being their responsibility. Maybe you've just moved to an academy trust that has made changes that affect your SEN cohorts, or you've had a damning Ofsted report that picked up on things you'd let slide under the radar. If you have an SEN action plan, then you will no doubt have been working on some of these issues and adding them to next year's strategy. You need to be critical and honest with yourself. Are things really okay? Can changes be made? What are the quick wins? You need to unpick the situation and identify what you will tackle next. I talk a lot about systems, and by this I mean the day-to-day processes you use to underpin all the work that actually goes on. From the identification of students through to the records you keep, to informing staff and engaging parents and writing policies. Each one can be performed in different ways, and it's up to you to choose what works best for your school and of course you. As someone who's been in the role for a while, then you've probably got most of these set up already, but that doesn't mean they work well for you. Maybe the identification of students needs refreshing, or the way that you gather information on their normal way of working for access arrangements. Or once you've unpicked the situation and identified your areas to work on, you need to review the systems you have in place to see if changing any of those will improve practice. The school playground and its groups of students are not far removed from the school staff room and its groups of staff. You'll have some teachers and support staff who you'd love to define as enemies. The ones that will undermine everything you try to achieve. The mood hoovers who dismiss everything, and the Norman negatives who declare it won't work before trying it. And maybe the fossils who'll declare they tried it in 1973 for 15 minutes and it didn't work then, so it won't work now. You may also have some parents who are equally as difficult. Somehow you need to get these individuals on board with whatever it is you want to do. I found that picking them off one by one worked for me. Choosing one person and really focusing my attention and support on them so that they almost became an expert in what I was trying to achieve. When the next new thing came along, they were a bit more willing to have a go, meaning I had more time to concentrate on my next foe. I'm convinced that sometimes it's just the confidence they lack in making change, and this causes a frosty exterior, which we often encounter. As equally as you need to identify your foes, it is helpful to identify your friends. There is always someone who will be willing to try something and back you up. In the secondary school, I found trying to do something with a whole department could sometimes be the catalyst for other departments. It's like an elitist type response. NQTs are always eager to learn new things and haven't yet become jaded. Having a voice on the SLT, if you're not a member yourself, is a requisite of the position, but having that voice as someone who actually listens to you and sings from your hymn sheet is essential. This individual can influence decisions being made and determine whether SEN is seen as a priority within your school. When we've been somewhere a while, we start to forget things, and we become a little complacent in our approach. When was the last time you audited staff SEN training? When did you last overhaul your SEN register? What about your own professional development? Just the same, we may forget to inform staff of things. We're human. It's allowed to make mistakes and forget things, but an annual checkup will ensure that important things don't get missed. One of the biggest things I was guilty of is having a very needy student appear in Year 7 and providing information to all the staff in the school. By Year 8, some of those staff have moved on and new teachers teach the students, but they're on the SEN register, so they know about them, don't they? By the time they get to Year 11, in my school, pretty much all of the staff would have been replaced, and that really important information about them that was shared in Year 7, albeit possibly slightly out of date, has been forgotten or not continued to be shared. Staff would know that they're on my SEN register, but possibly not all of those really key bits of information that we shared in the beginning. Is it always the same parents that you see? Is it always the same parents you never see? After you've been in the role for a while, you can start to deal with parental issues. The parents that are always on the doorstep, why? Do they have their own needs? Does it have to be you that deals with them? With those parents you're not seeing, what could be done to get them in? I often spout on about my coffee mornings and how successful they were. The interesting thing is that the year I was unable to run them, I completely lost my parental engagement. They began making complaints about my unavailability, even though I met them every time they came in, and they stopped engaging in other opportunities to meet, such as parents' evening. Unfortunately, there will be some parents you will burn bridges with, and no matter what, you won't be able to get them back on your side. However, that doesn't stop you from exploring other ideas, such as putting in place a key worker who simply reports back to you. I had a parent who had physically threatened me at an open evening. Far from it being her not engaging with me, it was actually the reverse. I refused to meet her on my own, insisting that a colleague had to attend with me. The parent didn't like this idea, feeling that she was being teamed up on. So we simply set up a relationship with her with another member of staff instead, which she was okay with. This member of staff simply reported everything back to me, and I scripted what they were able to say in the next meeting. If you enjoyed this video, then please click like, subscribe, and if you haven't had a look at my other offerings, then please do. I'll even let you leave a comment. If you've not seen it, have a look at my first video on being a sensible SENCO, along with the other videos I have planned for the series. This is what's coming up next. And will be followed by, in no particular order. Thanks for listening. Take care.